Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Happy Cells and Souls. My name is Julie Powers and I am a licensed Zumba instructor and I'm a partner with the Juice Plus company. My mission in life is to help people understand that life is better when you're dancing through it, and I want to inspire healthy living around the world. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level. Because we only get one body, so we have to treat it well while we're here, or it's not going to really do much for us or cause us problems. And also that we're supposed to have as much joy and happiness while we're here on earth as possible and share that and spread that. So I have had the honor and privilege of meeting just an abundance of amazing people during my life. And one of the things that I've learned is that every person has something to share that we can learn from. Doesn't matter what our differences are in culture, religion, politics, nothing really matters when you really open up your mind and your heart and you listen and learn. And so today we get to learn from my friend, Colleen McArtor. And, she is one of these fun people that I have gotten to do some really cool things with. And we are sideline buddies is what it's called in the Juice Plus company. And she and I have no financial ties to each other in terms of our business, but we share a lot of the same values when it comes to harnessing energy. And I'm talking about the energy within us and really getting out there and making a difference and finding out what our purpose is. So Colleen is a certified nutritionist. She is from Ohio, but right now she's coming to us from upstate New York. And she is a really cool person because what she does is she does nutrition coaching, and she incorporates some life coaching into that because she's really focusing on not just nutrition, but also mindset and heart set and, everything with mind, body, and spirit. And so today's topic is going to be really wrapped around happy, healthy meal prep and how to deal with that in today's world where life is just cuckoo crazy sometimes because we don't know what's coming tomorrow anymore, in terms of where we are going to even get our food from, and are our kids going to be home with us 24 hours a day for the next 2 months, or what's happening, and everything is in flux. But what we do know is that we have to eat. And Colleen, you have a good story about how you got interested in doing this and helping people. So I'd love for you to start there, and then let's talk about how people might be able to really start incorporating some meal planning and meal prepping into their daily lives.
All right. Thanks, Julie, for having me on. This is exciting. And I like just really sharing this story with people. I come from a background, I'm Irish and Polish, and I lived with my grandma in the summers, and food really mattered to her, good food, cooking fresh and whole and things like that, but also was love too. So she knew how to, bake pies and goodies and things like that. And my mother was beautician, so she was coming from the end of, you need to look good from a thin perspective. And so she had lost weight, when she was 16 or 17, so she always put like an emphasis on weight, so there was that kind of self-esteem struggle. So as a kid I always wanted to please my mother, but I just loved food, so I kind of started using food as a source to control, I guess is another word, to harness my power. And I gained a lot of weight and I manipulated it. And so I was very unhappy. So I went off to college and I wanted to be a nurse. And then my mom said, you'd really be good in more of the nutrition dietetic field because you're always on some sort of diet, but I was always seeking that joy of how can I help people get their best life or their best self. So over my journey, I've been on all sorts of plans, potions, pills. Thank God I found the Juice Plus community, which is whole food, in a simple and easy way. So it's foundational nutrition. So as I try to get people to menu plan, not everyone likes spinach or knows what to do with it, or like kale, or like eggplant, or like Brussels sprouts, or know what to do with an 8-ball zucchini. So what I try to do is I realize that as much as I denied the kitchen because I thought it would make me overweight, my grandma gave me that recipe for success that, you know, you need to embrace the kitchen, you need to embrace what you have, no matter if it's bratwurst, you know, make something of that with the means that you have. And she was a very just simple cook. So I kind of learned that. But as much as I wanted to deny that, I said, you know what? I need to teach people how to plan and eat better with the money that they have and with the funds that they have. And just over time, people will say, well, I don't like this. Or, you know, typical thing is people put out a recipe and say, well, I don't have turmeric. Well, I don't know. Does the recipe call for it? Well, do you need it? Do you like it? You don't really know what the recipe tastes like. So just make it and put what you like in it. You know, people get so wrapped up into, you know, I'm not going to make that because there's too many ingredients.
You know what I really like about the fact that you are teaching and coaching people in how to make healthier choices is that you've been there, done that. And so that was, you know, how many years would you say it has been since you have struggled with your health in terms of the weight aspect?
It's been over like 30 years, and it's still kind of, you know, that struggle, because you go somewhere, and especially in this dynamics of what we've been coming across, you know, I mean, I used to love to go to the grocery store because you got to talk to people, you got to smell, and you got to feel, and you got to say, oh, so what do you got in your cart? Now no one wants to talk to anybody. It's not fun to really go. You're in and out. You can't even really talk to the butcher about, you know, the cuts of meat or what do you do with it. So, you know, it still is a challenging, not so much, but it's always in the back of my mind. Like, I really could go for a donut because I'm having a crazy day, but I've had to learn the donut's not the problem. You know, it's me saying I blew it. So it's
Right.
taking
It's an
that and
emotional
saying,
aspect.
yeah.
Right, right.
So it's looking at
Yeah.
that.
And that generally is the case for, I would say, well, I don't know the actual percentage, but the people that I know personally that struggle with their weight, the ones that I know their story, I know that there is an emotional aspect to that. And so I think it's great that you are really wrapping up all of the aspects of life with mind, body, spirit into, you know, helping people learn how to harness that nutrition part because,
Right.
you know, of course now we know, and more people are understanding because the media is telling our story that it doesn't matter what's going to come at us, whether it's a virus, bacteria, mold, fungus, you know, whatever it is, you got to get the nutrition right. You have to stay hydrated. You have to work your body out and get some exercise. You have to get enough sleep. You have to manage your stress so your cortisol levels don't go skyrocketing. You know, there's all these different pieces of it. But what is one of the easiest things that we can actually control? It is what we put into our bodies. And so
Exactly.
with all these children that are being thrust into the world of staying home all the time, and the parents having to deal with their children at home all the time, not going to school, not eating the school lunches when school starts again, and when we were in quarantine in the spring, you know, it can become quite challenging. Is what are we going to
Right.
feed this family? So,
Right.
what would you say are some of the most important things for people to remember and to plan for, and some, you know, some easy tips?
You know, Julie, you bring up a good point. The kids are home, and I think being a mom and having young kids, they need to be engaged in the process. I think the most frustrating thing is we plan the meals, and then we think, oh, Johnny and Susie are going to like carrots, are going to like what we serve, because we had to do it. Like,
Right.
we were forced to eat the peas. Like, we didn't leave up from the table, but we're not setting down those same ground rules for our kids, and we're allowing them to kind of rule the roost, so to speak. So to avoid the frustration, I would say, let's sit down with them and plan, because it really could be a scientific experiment, because you have to weigh and measure. If you're making macaroni and cheese, instead of buying the box mix, which is full of garbage, full of chemicals, buy macaroni that's, 59 to 79 cents, depending on where you go, the big box or, family size. Boil that and then make a roux with the butter and the cheese, and the milk. And if you're vegan, you could do it with, the imitation cheeses and the vegan butters and do it that way. And then you show them how to mix it up. You teach them how to use the thickening agent and put the amount of cheese that they like. And then you could say, hey, kids, let's throw some broccoli in it, or throw some spinach in it, or, let's cut up some chicken, and maybe, so that way they all have a piece of the pie and of the saying of what they want to eat.
Right. And I think too that a lot of parents, they think that, and I know I thought this when my son was very, very young. I thought that he really couldn't help me in the kitchen because, one, I wanted to be in charge of what I was making, even though it was usually junk food at that point in my life.
Yeah.
I was making the box macaroni and cheese. I was heating up a lot of stuff in
That's okay.
that really shouldn't have been part of our lives, but it was. And
Yeah.
so, I'm not afraid to share that because we live and learn.
Right.
I thought, oh, I don't want to have him here in the kitchen. It's going to be so much more messy and time consuming. And, but I should have
Right.
allowed him to be part of it so that he could learn from a young age, because when he ended up going off to college, then he started really being interested in cooking more in high school after he started embracing a much healthier lifestyle from watching the changes that I was making with my own diet and lifestyle. And he watched and he learned, and I didn't make him, but he did it on his own. And then when he went to college and he lived in an apartment and he was making his own food, he would call and say, how do you make that one thing? And I'm like, oh, well, you throw a little bit of this in there and a little bit of that. And he would get so frustrated with me because I didn't use real recipes. And if I included him from the beginning, it wouldn't have been as frustrating, because he could have seen that experimental nature of, let's taste this and let's see how this goes. But now he's very experimental with his cooking, and they make so many cool things with fresh ingredients. So, yeah, I think it matters a lot.
And I think that's the key. It's like my mom, when she was a grandma with my kids, it's like, oh, let them be messy. Who cares if the flour spills on the floor? It's only a kitchen. But it's the memories that you're creating with your kids too. So, simply starting with a base of, different vegetables as your base to keep it simple, whether it's broccoli or green beans, so they know that vegetables matter, and picking out a color, like make it a game, what color of the day do you want your vegetable to be or your fruit to be? And how can you incorporate that? So even if they say, hey, I want a fruit salad. So what? Have a fruit salad be your dinner, fruit salad and maybe a hard-boiled egg. It doesn't have to be like meat and potatoes and all of that. We have to let our bodies guide what we nutritionally want. And we saw that when their kids were small, when they say, no, Mom, I don't want that, because they used to not eat as much protein. They used to gravitate to that grazing mentality. Mm-hmm. So I would tell parents to put out the muffin tin and throw blueberries in one hole and carrots in another, and put, hummus in the middle, and jicama and, broccoli and cauliflower. And so line all that stuff up with different fruits, and then they just graze all day. They know it's there. They're going to gravitate. I don't care what age they are. I don't care if you're 50. You're going to, when that good food is out there, the watermelon's cut up, the honeydew's cut up, and you got a salad cut, you're going to go to that. But if you have chips and pizza and tortilla pizza rolls and wings, you're going to eat that.
Yes, and I used to. I used to a lot. But now those things don't really appeal to me, which is great, but it's one step at a time. Going from here to here doesn't have to be all at once.
Right.
And so what you're saying is maybe just start adopting a few of these little ideas, like the muffin tin grazing option, or including your kids in the kitchen and in the preparation of meals. Now, you were saying to ask the kids if they'd be interested in eating this or eating that and letting them be part of that planning process. But on the other side of that is parents do need to help their kids expand their palates
Right.
by, if you have something that's new, that a kid says he doesn't like or she hates this or whatever, just, maybe incorporate that rule of you have to at least take 1 bite, 2 bites, 3 bites, whatever it is.
For sure.
And then the more you do that, I think I heard something like, if your taste buds are exposed to something new and you initially don't like it, if you make yourself eat it, if it's a really healthy thing,
Yeah.
that over 5 different times, your taste buds will realize, oh, I actually do like this.
Right.
And not always, but that it does take that exposure sometimes to get your taste buds to kind of perk up a little bit.
Right.
Now for me, like things like coffee, I've tried my whole life to like coffee and I don't like it. And I probably never will at this point.
Right.
Not that coffee is a healthy thing, but that's something but I was exposed to that. I allowed myself to be exposed to it over time. And I never did develop a taste for it. So I'm not saying that kids will develop a taste for every single thing that you make them try, but that's important, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what was kind of my mom's thing. It's like you have to at least have a bite of that. So you're exposed to shrimp and, lobster and escargot and different vegetables like jicama and things like that. But to wait till you're older and have that, you may never like that. And
Right.
you're right. Your taste buds do change when you decrease the amount of sugar. And I am so amazed how many parents allow their children to have soda.
Mm.
There's that population of age, I think it's people that have kids that are in their 40s and younger that grew up allowed to have pop with dinner. That was like a no-no in my family. It was a beverage like that was for a treat once a month. Like if you went to a party, you were allowed to have one orange soda, little Tom beverage. So I
Well,
didn't.
when we were kids, right, we went to the fast food restaurants and the sodas were like this big. It was,
Yes.
like 10 ounces or 12 ounces. It wasn't 16, 32, 64 ounces. Now, I will say this, a lot of parents simply don't know. They really
True.
don't know the amount of sugar that's in those sugary sodas. They don't know the amount of acid that's in those sodas. They don't know the kinds of dyes and chemicals that are in them. They don't know diet soda can be so much more dangerous than regular sugary soda.
Right.
So to give them the benefit of the doubt, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Some people do know and they still make that choice. And that's unfortunate for them and for the children because the children learn what they live.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's important to know that, it's just empty calories. And it's better to start the morning with an orange, really, than orange juice.
Right.
Because what's happening is you get that concentrated amount of juice, no fiber. So at any age, if you have an orange juice, a slice of toast, and oatmeal, you're getting a lot more sugar than your body needs.
Colleen,
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes.
So, you got to watch the amount of sugar. So I try to tell everybody to look at their label, even on their bread, and to try to keep their sugar grams to less than 30 grams a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's challenging.
And to also use that formula of, the amount of fiber that's in something so that even if it's a little bit higher sugar content, if you can keep it at that level glycemic index, then even though you're getting more sugar, if it is a really healthy option, then it's okay. It's okay because you're going to get far more value and benefit from the added nutrition than you would have the deficit of adding that little bit more sugar. So absolutely. So in the last minute here, because this always goes by so quickly,
Right.
can you think of any like super simple things too that parents might want to give a try?
Um, I think, making sure they're given a good dinner. So looking at putting together, look at what vegetables do they have and what like protein source do they want to serve, or just it's okay to do something all vegetable source, like taking your squashes and making a meal. Now they have all those spiral size noodles that you could have that as a wonderful meal with very minimal protein on that, and then have raw vegetables with it or just a fruit. So keep it simple, make the vegetables the source, and then look at less protein options for everybody, like a smaller serving of chicken and beef and pork products and things like that.
Now, real quickly, because you brought up the protein, there are a lot of people right now that believe that they need protein, 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 protein. Every single thing they eat needs to be protein. And from what I have learned, and I am not a certified nutritionist, but I've learned a lot from very smart people, that really it's hard to be protein deficient in the United
Yes.
States. But that there is a formula for the amount of protein that you need, and it's based on if you're male or female and what age you are. So really kind of do the math, right? And
Right.
figure it out, because you'll find that you are getting plenty of protein, and getting too much protein can actually be quite dangerous
Right.
and cause
It
health problems.
it's I think we're out of balance. We're going high protein, lower to middle carbs, very little fat, because we want to be on the diet plan, and then it's a lot of sugar. So we're really kind of in that, if you're on the teeter totter, you're not here, you and I back and
Right.
forth teeter tottering. You're like, oh, I'm up one day, I'm down one day, and it's that back and forth. So really, if you keep it the protein to the palm of your hand for the majority of the day, for women and even kids, you only need like 75 grams of protein. You can get that from broccoli, kale,
Right.
other sources.
Right.
So we really have to be aware of that balance of not only food, but sleep, exercise, the water, that whole thing. And that's what I try to educate people on.
The whole package, the mind, body, spirit package, and
Yep.
all of the different aspects of life to keep us as healthy as possible. So thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing your expertise. And I'm sure that anybody who views this will be able to, take some tips and put them into practice with their own families.
Well, that's the hope.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Have a good day.